I minimize the number of them. Meaning, when you have lots of classes, meaning classes is basically a customized way to cheat on the rules. Meaning a class can do things that other characters can't do. So it's like a bunch of exceptions packaged together, so to speak. And that's the thing. I try to have as few exceptions as possible. There's one way to rage, there's one way to sneak, and then you're more or less good at it, or you have it or you don't have it. That's it.
Makes sense. Yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah. So it's a way to
subject.
And that wasn't much of a. It started to become a problem in 3rd edition, and that's something we should definitely mention later on. It wasn't 1st edition. It was old school. It was definitely not much of a problem.
No.
It started in 2nd edition, got worse in 3rd, and exploded in Pathfinder and 5e, and now they're trying to rein it in again. The exception craziness. So yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of that 1A2, I think it could have gotten out of hand if you let it in 2nd edition with all the kits and stuff.
Well, it definitely started in 2nd. We had a little bit of it in 1st, but not that much because there were few exceptions, so to speak. The classes didn't have that many exceptions. I think it came when you started selling stuff with the intent of luring players to buy it. That's when you start getting tons and tons of cool player options.
Is this sci-fi? I thought we agreed on a World War II campaign.
Well, yeah. There's a lot.
Did we?
Selling experience,
cool.
right? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm meaning that you want to have like more splat books with cool stuff that players can do. Characters, meaning you have more like you have.
All right, here's what we're doing.
Cool
it's the year 3700. Humanity's elite fled to other planets long ago, taking with them all forms of
creative ways. So to speak.
Earth survivors scrape by with historic tools as weird phenomena plague abandoned nuclear sites. Witnesses report seeing glowing lights and the dead rising from their graves. Amidst the chaos, 3 strangers meet in a dim bar. A veteran zombie slayer,
exactly.
a disgraced
So
general
it's
out for revenge,
the more exceptions, meaning you have a rule for how something works, and then if you allow certain characters to have an exception from the rule, and then you have some other character classes, or they give some other exception to the rule, and then to some other rule, and eventually it becomes like a sieve, and it becomes very difficult to
Well, I think that's
manage.
what happened with 3.5, right?
Well, it started in 2nd edition, in my opinion, really, and it just got worse over time. And the more player option books, especially you get, the more you get of it. So that's, I tried to get around that system by designing a bunch of rules, and that's it.
Well, for me, I take 2nd edition and back convert it to 1st edition, so that way it's not an issue.
Yeah, that's you try to keep, but it will be an issue in every game system. It's just a matter of how much of an issue, and also how much aware of it you are, so to speak. I think a lot of new GMs or DMs in 5th edition, they are just seeing the difficulties for the DM.
Right.
A story once spoken.
Hello everyone.
Now I need to log in here.
The dungeon imagined without end. The curious are the ones most courageous. The tree that endures has to bend. From stillness the mad mage is stirring. From countless voices the castle takes shape. Zagig will test the enduring. Those unlucky will never escape.
So keys, Stefan.
Yeah, ODM 79. That's interesting. Yep.
wolf. That's weird. I don't know what that. You know, you probably want to put the resolution down. Maybe that's your resolution's too high. That's just it's weird. Or use a different browser. That's what I would do. That's what I would do.
Yeah, really high resolution might be a problem for some graphics cards, I guess, or
especially if you have an old, non-updated browser.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, Jeremy, I sent her a message too. Just let me know, because we're going to do a Night of Ulick adventure. Figured I'd ask you both. Yeah, it'd be fun. UK Ogre, thank you. Oh, all right. What am I forgetting here? I'm always forgetting something. I'm starting to get way up now. Long shot, what's up, man? Don't know if Tip's coming or not tonight. I invited him, but he hasn't. So. Stuttering, really? No issues here. Yeah, it went downgrade the resolution. I'm streaming in 2K, full 2K, so that may be part of the problem. Coffee killed off. Yeah, 1080p, a lot of people are good at.
I think you're actually streaming it. Yeah, I think you're streaming 4K at 2160. That's 4K, not 2K.
Well, I'm streaming at 3840 by 2160.
Yeah.
But the output to Twitch is only finalized at 2K.
Okay, gotcha.
Cool, man. Yeah, because that's the highest it'll take now viewing.
Yeah.
So hopefully I'm good for when the tests come and you do true 4K. We'll see. Excellent. Did you have fun playing Gom, the Confident Man? There you go, for a different browser's fine. Good, man, good. Awesome. Very cool. Hey, darling, how are you? Things are good. Scout Party still got 4 open seats.
Yeah. I have 2 awesome players, so I can.
You'll get it, Phil. It's early. It's really early.
I can really recommend joining that game.
Yeah.
Not only for me, but for the definitely for the players, because they're two awesome players in that game. So, yeah. And it's also mid-level, like level 9-10-ish game. So in that sense, I think it's a good one from that sense too. And both Amy and David are fantastic players.
Oh yeah, Amy Clinton in there, good.
Yeah.
Awesome. So good evening. I footballed myself out Thursday night, Friday night's game all day today, so.
Yep.
Just enjoying it and getting some other things done. And we got a fun one tonight. It's Anna and me probably only. You never know. Tim may show up. Who knows? So hope everyone's going well. Let me flip over to, we're talking virtual.com. We got a fair number of events still with openings. If you see a get next to it, they still got, they're not sold out. Hope for Vilharian, that's on YouTube. There's only one seat left for that. That's I think Murder Hobos. Anna Shieldland Scout Party, 4 open seats still. So Yoavs are starting to fill a little bit. At least he's getting some sign up. Dark Heart of the Nat Marsh. That is Rob. That's the one. Okay, that's the one you have seats for. All right, you got 2 seats for that. Sinister Secret now is 5 out of 8 here. This was Casper. I think this came in late, so yep, 1 sign up for that. That may get more as it goes. No, a second hunt one not filled. Temple of Zeus is almost filled. Orc Skull. This one is the 9-hour one through the night. His other one is only got 1 seat left, and that's a live stream as well. So here's his other one, Oath and Measures. So things are filling up, but there are some really cool events still with spots. 2 left for Indicarus's game here. His Zeef game on Sunday. He's got 4 already, so he's good. But he's got 2 open seats. So there's some spots. Left, but it's filling. We may have some other things come in. You never know, but for the most part, keep it rolling here, Hey, Geek, what's up? Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about 2 things. So I'll be putting in my Shieldlands games this evening. Okay, Josh, just thanks. I appreciate it. So Josh will have a game or 2 in as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, Star's going to be playing as well. That's good. So we're going to talk tonight about go back to the beginning. Character special abilities. That Tim's out. If he gets home in time, he will hop on. And then a term I've never heard. Game loops.
Yeah, it's something that I've been studying all the game designing blogs and podcasts and stuff the last 5 years that I can, and it seems to be one of these expressions where you start thinking how the game, not the options per se, but the other way, how it kind of the wheels that get it moving forward, meaning a combat round, leveling up, and the economy of a game, how do you use action economy in the round, meaning you have the short-term game loops, what happens every round, so to speak, and then you have a little bit longer, meaning do you have encounter power, spell points, do you have spell slots instead, do you have and stuff like that. These are game loops, meaning what do you do, reward system, do you have XP, what do you allow XP for, how can they be spent, etc., and so on and so forth. So you have like short-term game loops, then you have mid-term game loops and then you have long-term, or maybe even have campaign spanning game loops that affects things, or world spanning too. So game loops can go from what happens every round to what happens over long periods of time, over a character's lifespan, for instance. That might be a game loop, that you might have years of character life, might be a game loop in that sense, that as a player you have to decide, do I want to go up against that ghost and lose precious time of my character's life, so to speak? That becomes something. You can, all sorts of meta currencies and stuff. You have like spell points, XPs, hit points, these are kind of obvious that always been there, but there are others in different game system. I have one that called exertion in Hawk Tales, because since I don't have classes, that means that I want to have like a common meta currency across all the characters, depending on, so you use it for turning undead, you use it for raging, you use it for all sorts of stuff. It's your character's resource to spend on stuff it can do, so to speak, as a way of limiting. So as a player, you have to, okay, do I spend my effort now or do I wait until later? Because you can't do it as much as you want. Like spell slots is one way of managing magic and stuff. So yeah.
Is it based on the player or is it based on the DM? Because I would just call that play style and rules system utilized. Or
yeah, but game loop is it's basically when you start thinking of it from a mechanic standpoint. Some of them are for the DM, meaning, and some of them are it depends. Some of them might not be codified. One thing is that do you codify how encounters, meaning how many monsters you can put in, or is that something that should just say that, well, it's up to the DM and just go for it? Initiative is one of these things that it's a game loop, meaning how is that done? Pure chance? Do you roll every round, or do you roll per encounter, or stuff like that? These are game loop, meaning how often do you come back to regulating that thing again, so to speak.
You've gotten me on a term I've never heard of until today. I'm serious, Anna. I mean,
I heard it like a couple
parameter, a game parameter.
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah, I heard it a couple of years ago. Yeah, it's just a word for thinking. How do your game tick, so to speak? Meaning, how does it function over time? So to speak, meaning the economy. How do you allocate treasure and money and stuff, and how do you drain it back in again? Meaning, what's the purpose of giving it in order to meaning if you have money in your game, how is that circulating through the game, as the campaign progressing? That's one game loop, so to speak. You can have many other game loops. You can have really long-term game loop. What if the characters doing things like killing a god or something, would that affect the whole world? And if that is a recurring occurrence, is god killing affecting campaign long term? Is the game world becoming more evil if the good gods are being killed often, or vice versa? These might be world spanning long term game loops that you might have to start thinking, if I want to run my 40-year campaign, what do I want my game to be about? Do I want to have long-term mechanical game loop, or is it just thematic and it shouldn't impact things?
I would just call that a Monty Hall campaign.
Yeah, but let's say in Greyhawk you have one thing that you say magic was more powerful before. Meaning traditionally Greyhawk in the old school was like magic is a thing that kind of disappears and gets less powerful. And the Zool back in the day had more powerful. Is that a cyclic thing? Then you can say that that's a game loop that runs every century in my game world. And now we're on the downward beat or an upward beat, so to speak, when it comes to that. So game loops can be from things you do every round, every encounter, to every day, to every month, to through a character's lifespan, to campaign wide, to 1,000-year cycles in my game world, so to speak. You can have long-term to very short-term game loops, and all should be something that makes the player make choices that affects this, so to speak. How do I spend my XP? How do I spend my money? How do I spend my spell points or my whatever it is, my slots of something or something like that?
I think that also depends on the system you're playing too.
Exactly, that's the thing. Meaning different systems have different game loops. Meaning now you have now it's becoming popular that you have some sort of action points. Like in Pathfinder, you have 3 action points you spend every round, so you can do 3 different things. And others, in other game system like Nimble and stuff, you might have, you have 4 action points and different things you can do in different round costs action points. So then that become a game loop that you do every round. In Hawk Tales, I have damage dice. So when you have a powerful warrior of some sort, you get like up to 5 damage dice. You have to decide how you spend them each round. That's a short-term game loop that comes around every round through the encounter, and so on. So it's more like it's a way to look at the the various things like action, economy in the round, money, XP, and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a way of looking at gameplay through mechanics over time, so to speak, meaning is it efficient to do this, and what initiative system might give the results you want and stuff like that. Yeah.
Grexel is correct. So
yeah,
I'm going to say this. I don't know if I'm going to say this in the right way or not. 3 years ago, I never heard the damn term West Marches, and I couldn't care less.
Exactly. There's
okay, right with West Marches. I've been playing West Marches style since 1980. So fuck you all. How's that sound with the West Marches terms? You know
Jay,
what I'm saying?
I think but I think the reason we get a lot of these terms coming now is probably due to the popularity of the game. Well, a game that has that millions of people are playing, you want terms in order. It's a way to create brevity. Every sports, every profession, whatever, they create cool terms to describe things. It's a way of deciding who's an insider and who's an outsider. You need to know the terms, so to speak. So that's the So it's like you talk about DPS and you talk about tanking and all stuff like that. Meaning those were terms that before the 2000 I never heard the word tank.
Well, tanking comes from World of Warcraft.
Yeah, exactly. Meaning it came. Exactly. No one have heard that term ever before year 2000 or 99 or wherever that was, somewhere around there. And then tanking. Now everybody understands what a tank is in a role playing game. So and I think that a lot of these terms are similar, so to speak. Someone invented the West March term to describe the type of game people have played 20, 30, 40 years before the term was even coined.
You're right, Dale. EverQuest did it first. You're right. For me, it was World of Warcraft.
Yeah. So I see these terms, but I think the terms are still useful in that sense that once I think the usefulness of these terms is that we start talking about phenomena and it raises awareness of phenomena in our hobby that we can then start thinking about critically, meaning figure out what we do like and what we don't like and what we can improve. And because there are many ways of doing things, and I like to study other ways of doing things, both to find cool things that I can do, but also to find things that, oh, no, I don't want to do it that way. But and that is also a good experience. To play at someone's table, even if you don't like the game, it's still because it might be a good experience because you figure out that, others might like it, but I don't like it that way. So to find out both what you like and what you don't like is useful.
Well, see, me being Mr. Paranoid, I don't. Everyone quantifies a term about everything because certain people like to control everyone, and that's what. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I totally get. But that I think is, since this is a hobby, in politics I'm way more worried about this stuff.
Right. Well,
because then it's about real power over people. But this is a hobby where how you play your game shouldn't affect anybody except the people that's sitting around the table, and that's how it should be, so to speak. So
by the way, once again, maybe this time we'll get hard copies because the winners won't all come from Canada. So relatives and rituals in old school or Knave. All right, there you go. From the Naz adventure. So well, sure, game style and you can coin.
But I also think that
things can be coined.
But sometimes I think terms like this can be useful in order to understand other people's games. Because I think that's also very, it's good to try and understand other people's game because you can learn from them, whether you like it or not. It's good to understand because I love to be more aware of what I like, why I like it, and what I don't like, because that helps me play a better game and to enjoy the hobby more, so to speak. That might be me being weird.
Understood. For me, quantifying every single thing I do with a term.
No, not everything, but certain things. Yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
But like for example, let's talk about like initiative. I have group initiative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's where it ends. I use group initiative.
No, but you have, for instance, group initiative. That's the thing you're big on, so to speak, and that works for you, and you've done it, and you kind of you figured out through probably a lot of back and forth the early days. You figured out
surprised.
what kind of initiative works for you.
Right, and it's
And
all.
you
I think
kept it.
it's all
Yeah.
chalked up to play style and learned
Oh
experience
yeah,
and
definitely.
things like
Yeah.
that. So it's an interesting concept. Talking, and we'll get into it a little bit more as we talk about, because I am assuming it's all intertwined. But so here's a question to the audience. So what's the oldest like special ability that comes to mind when you think of your base characters? And we can go all the way back to OD&D if you want. What's like the oldest thing of an ability, character ability that's like, wow, this class has it.
Turning undead is
There you
really
go.
old.
That's one. Lay on hands. There you go. It's another one.
Exactly. Those are really old because I think they are part of OD&D. They're the very first rules. Were probably some form of them in there. Yeah.
Weapon that's a little later, Dale, but that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one too.
Hiding shadows.
Later. Hiding shadows. I'm thinking of tracking, ranger tracking.
That is the one. Yeah.
That comes to mind for me.
But were rangers in the very first?
Well, I'm talking about first edition D&D.
Oh, okay, yeah, but I'm thinking even before then, so to speak. So yeah.
Yeah, we got.
I don't think we had a ranger and a thief. So if you take the clerics and the fighters ability, then and spell casting, then you're probably there on the very, very early. Yeah.
Yeah. So and these things will. I mean, they grow. No druids either. Absolutely. Over time, more and more and more are put in the game, and then you got to decide how much do I want and how much can I control and how much can I, figure things out. No, Ben Bars Lift Gates. That's a real good one, Miss. So that's a real good one because no one thinks about that one. We come to the strength table.
The big one here we should have a discussion a little bit later about is skills. So we put a pin on that and add that because that's something that wasn't in the first edition that started to creep in later on that I think we should have a discussion. And another one is saving throws. We should have a discussion on a bit later on
saving
too.
Throws are really interesting.
Because it's one of these that's saving throws. Have they been in the game since OD&D? I think so.
As far as I'm aware,
yeah, and then they stayed in there, so to speak.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
And because we have to understand this becomes important later, but saving throw is a much older part of the feature set in D&D than skills are. Way older, so to speak.
Yeah. You need to update. Well, Michael, if you need. Get it to me if you need to update it, man. So I got so here's an updated one. This starts that's a good reminder. Oh my god, now I gotta find it. Sorry. So September 9th, the next Kickstarter for Everon Games starts up. Box set for a lot of new 3D prints that are coming out. Really cool. All right, so there you go. That's that, and we'll have a giveaway for them on Thursday. Yeah, so Ben Bars Lift Gates, everyone has. Because you can do it. Any character can do it, but that's not. So, is that a special ability? Technically not.
That's something that was later thought of with everybody got skills. So you got like strength plus some skill and stuff. So that was it's early on.
It's an allowance off of the stat. So that is technically not a special ability. But it's a good idea.
And also in the early days, there were no ability modifiers weren't standard on all the abilities. There were like strength one, but a lot of them didn't have them, so to speak. It was not a standard. If I had an ability of 13, I got a +2 or whatever.
Oh yeah,
that wasn't standardized in AD&D first edition.
Yes.
Not in every, meaning they were not standard modifiers to all the abilities. And then if you were a fighter, you had separate ones from regular folks when it comes to strength, for instance, and stuff.
And there are. Let me show you.
Okay.
Like for intelligence, you get bonus languages.
Oh yeah, but what I'm saying is that there were not a standardized modifier from all the abilities. That each of them were treated unique, so to speak.
Well, yeah, they're not like 13s +1 across the board, 14s +2 across the board.
Okay. Exactly. That's what I
can't stand
modifiers.
That, all of them being the same. I can't. I like.
Okay.
But I'm old school too. So
Yeah.
there's all right. So I misunderstood what you were saying.
Yeah.
They're the same no
One
matter
is
what.
not necessarily better than the other. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
from people that come to D&D
Right.
from third edition or later might think that was always the case, but no, it wasn't.
The cool thing is that my players don't need to worry about it because it's built into the tables I preset for them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The armor
So in
class
that
has it
way,
built in. The
yeah.
strength has it built in. The modifiers, like all the thieving abilities, it's all built in here. All the bonuses and the penalties.
One of the
Hit
appeals
points.
early on, in D&D that I liked from the beginning, but I started to dislike much later, is that you had all these cool quirks that meaning first edition D&D or AD&D are built up by a lot of disparate cool little subsystems, meaning the thieving abilities function this way, turning a dead functions some other way, and so on. So the mechanics is structured very differently from one to the other. And that was really cool. In the beginning, I really liked it. Now I'm like, I'm not so sure now. So I changed my mind, but I really understand the appeal. And I think it was Roger E. Moore that wrote a wonderful article when he started discussing a second edition of D&D in Dragon Magazine, where he said that quirkiness is part of the charm of D&D, and we shouldn't kill it, so to speak. And now a lot of role-playing games have killed it.
I like the
And
quirkiness.
yeah,
I like the quirkiness of maybe that's why I haven't left 1E2E. I love the quirkiness.
Exactly. Yeah. So that
all the weird stuff. Like
mm-hmm.
I don't use it, but I love that someone did a table versus armor class with weapons. I do. I'll never use it, but someone was crazy enough to put that in there.
Yeah.
So, B-Town, thanks, man.
Different armor had if you had a different weapons and stuff. So
crazy.
So
it's insane. It's absolutely and it slogs the game. So here's a question. So give me audience or Anna a special ability that the base fighter class had in first or second edition.
Phantom Manja, I'm with you now because I'm kind of now I want to have a slightly different approach. But back in the day, I loved that quirkiness. But yeah,
there's no sweeping back then, there, Jeremy.
Yeah,
I got one, and that is bonus hit points for higher con. Because a fighter at 17 or 18 con gets +3/+4, and the clerics and the mages only get +2 max. That's the only one I can think of. That's a special ability, right?
Yeah.
No, there's no sweeping, Jeremy, in one.
Yeah. That is I think one of the problems I had back when I actually played first edition AD&D was that the fighter was so bland.
Yep.
It was powerful, but it was very bland because a fighter had very little special cool stuff. He was just simply had more hit points, could hit things better, do more damage, but that was about it.
It is, and I just want to share with you, like, I agreed with that, and weapon specialization came out, and that was when Arthur Kane, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, but weapon specialization is also just numerically better, so to speak. It's not a cool special thing. It's just that you got some extra pluses on what you already does.
Multiple attacks. So
exactly, but it's like you can either make something more powerful or you can make it cool doing different. You can broaden a character or you can heighten it, so to speak. And the fighter is a typical example of a heightened design where you get bigger numbers over time rather than more cool stuff. And the thief is kind of the opposite. You get more cool stuff without getting significantly better all the time.
Yeah, it was, Chris, but many classes were much faster. Druids and thieves are way faster than fighters. Cavalier. The Cavalier class, you look it up. To 9th is quicker than a fighter, and you'll be shocked that's the case.
Yeah.
When I looked, I was like, holy geez. So we added stuff over the years. Just saying, trying to make each class a little unique. Straight class fighters, not multi-class. With the battle and demoralizing shout, the ability to taunt as a feat, with weapon specialization as well. Weapon mastery now. We're trying
but that's cool. Like taunt and stuff is cool because that gives you something else than just getting bigger numbers of what you already does, so to speak. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And that's kind of the whole part of the gist of the discussion tonight is how do you keep whatever edition you're playing? How do you make your classes or whatever system you use give every them have a unique feel to it? Have a little different, have a little quirk to it, a little something that's wow, I can do this and no one else can. So for me,
because even if sorry, go
ahead, Anna.
I was going to say, even if you have classes or not, the problem is still there, so to speak, to make interesting characters. Yeah.
No, it's not. BB specialization is for straight class fighters, knights, cavaliers, and cavalier subclasses. What am I missing? Am I missing something else? I allow specialization for rangers and paladins but they don't get multiple attacks. They get a +1 hit, +2 damage. There's some that get that, but the base real specialization is the extra attacks. It's mostly it's only those fighters, cavaliers, knights, maybe a couple others. There's specializations for like duelists and things like that. But here's the thing: fighters have this. No other class has the battle demoralizing shout. Straight class fighter. They can use that, and I stole it from World of Warcraft. Sorry, sue me. And so that came in 2004 plus. Right, so there you go. Something different they have.
Yeah, because I don't think any edition of D&D have exactly that feature, so to speak. You have like barbarians have in other later editions something they can scream and yell and get people to create enemies to be scared of them. I guess that's the equivalent maybe of the most likely.
Let me tell you something, Dale. All right, take a 7th level fighter with double specialization with a longsword. Take an old school 1st edition paladin with that only can get single specialization, +1 hit, +2 damage, and no multiple attacks. And who's going to kick the crap out of who? Right? A +1 hit, +2 damage against a +3/+3 with an extra attack that round is insane. That's where that's where we decided that there was a nuance there to keep it's just we've undone stuff, we've redone stuff. We've tweaked things over the years just to figure out, like, wow, this works in our game.
Yeah, meaning if you take over a decade, then there is like a significant back and forth on a lot of this. I assume that as a
playtest, we've done and undone stuff. We gave if you look at so hold on, it's all here. Let me I hate it when I close out one tab and then I close everything freaking closes. All right, so here's something a lot of people don't realize, or maybe you do. Let's go to Undertale here. A shocking revelation is in here, or maybe it's not. When we go to weapon specialization, it's after all this. There, right here. Only members of the fighter class and the ranger subclass can make use of weapon specialization. How many people know that? We don't do it. We don't do the multiple attacks with the rangers because the rangers, you're right, are powerful enough. So there you go. It's right in there in the Arcana book. Now, why aren't paladins included? Because at that time, they decided all paladins magically become cavalier subclasses, which I cannot stand. So we have it both. So when that happens, you should insert one of Tim Duncan Jousley's advertisements. For what? For what, Michael? Oh, I understand. Yeah, it's cool. So there you go. It's right there. Paladins are not. They take them at this time and frame. They're like, oh, they're no longer fighter subclass, and we went that way for like 10 years.
Yeah, one question in this, Jay. Which one are you most afraid of? That one class will be more powerful than the other classes, or that will be too powerful compared to monsters and stuff like that? Or am I stupid even thinking about this, so to speak? Or
no, it's a great question.
What are the aspects of game balance
this
are you
is
most
such a great question.
Yeah,
I have to. I'm gonna tie this in to an item. Okay. And why certain things I don't give out anymore. So I have two major abusers in my game going back 45 years, Alan and Tim. They'll give them this much and they'll take this much. All I've seen.
Well,
I gave Alan's one character an arrow of direction once. Johnny Dangerously once. And he threw that thing up in the air, questioned every 30 seconds, one adventure. Like, he did it 8 times within 10 minutes. And on the 9th time he threw it up there, it hit a rock and it split in half. Oh, it broke. It's done. And I'm like, yeah. So what I'm worried about is that ability or that special ability in a class that becomes that. And I'm trying to think of something. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you one that really is imbalanced in first edition, and that's turning undead. Right? There's no rules on it. It just doesn't say, oh, how often they can turn undead. They just can turn undead. So we had to set up. How many of you have had this? We had to set up how many times or how the undead system works. It doesn't really tell you. There's a table. I mean, you can do it every round according to the rules. So we did it so that it's once per combat per undead type in an arc radius of 90 to max 120 to 120 degrees, depending on how the movement is. It's not mentioned anywhere in these rules about turning undead. There was a max number, 1 to 12, 7 to 12 BB, but it doesn't say you can't do it every round. It just doesn't say it anywhere. So like turning undead was a problem early on, and we had to figure that out. And so that's what we came up with, and now it works pretty well for us. But if you look in here, it's not mentioned at all how it works. So that was a problem.
That is a good question. And in Hawk Tales, I have two things that I've tried, because that was one of my key things. I mean, how do I regulate, especially since I don't have any classes? What if, meaning most characters will be multi-class. They will have all sorts of disparate whatever kind of features. So one thing was to regulate. First, you individually regulate how powerful certain things are, meaning how much damage or how powerful is a turning. But then you have to figure out how much can you turn. But what if you have lay on hands and you have smiting and you have all sorts of other stuff? Meaning, can you just start piling these up and you can be a paladin and you can do all of that stuff, so to speak? Then I put in what I call a meta currency that I call exertion. So as a character, you have this much. So if you do turn undead, that means that you can smite less because you can only do this much. So you have to start thinking, okay, if I do a lot of this, then I do less of that, so to speak. So that was kind of a cross exertion is used for basically all the stuff that character does that needs to be regulated in the amount they can do. Yeah.
It's just one of those things that I don't even think about anymore because we figured it out and we haven't gone back from it.
But there's other clever ways you can do this. I also put it in on the monster side, so that a lot of undeads is that once if they made their save, that means that they're not scared of you for another 24 hours, or maybe never ever scared of you, because now they figured out that you're not that powerful. So you have to level up. You have to have a more powerful turn, otherwise they're not scared of you, even if you keep doing it many times over. But only some undead have that feature. So if you play a cleric and you do your undead and they don't run away, you have to do some guesswork and simply some luck or whatever to see, should I spend another attempt or not, depending on what are these undead and so on and so forth. Just to put more guesswork into the game.
For us, damage breaks, just like damage breaks a charm, fear, whatever, damage will break the turn. That's what we do. So if they're running off and someone says, oh, I'm going to fireball them, and then you don't kill them all, they're they're immediately not turned anymore.
But that makes a lot of sense.
But that's not in the rules anywhere. It's not
it's exactly. It's these kind of things. And I think that as a DM, you should start looking at that more like individual. This type of undead under these circumstances would do, depending on its intelligence. And that's the thing. Intelligence and wisdom are very useful abilities on the monster. That will tell you a lot, so to speak. Meaning, are they just mindless skeletons, or zombies, but are they smart ghouls with free will and stuff? That should be a huge difference in how they react to things.
Well, one thing I don't want to do is create a ton of exceptions to a lot of the rules, right? Because then it gets into especially, see, I have to, it's going to sound awful. Maybe not. I don't know if any of my guys are on. I have to, Tim and Al, improve my game. And it's helped. It's helped a lot because I know, there's going to be stuff that's going to be pushed the limits, and that's okay.
Oh yeah.
That's
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I BB, I don't know what that means. Feign, goals above can feign. I've never heard that before. What we have is turning, or is a turn. The turn before they, and if they're running off a turn direction out in the wilderness and they stop, who knows where they're going to end up. So yeah, it's just I don't know where that comes from. Does that come from another game system? Yeah. In wisdom should have monsters consider self-preservation. Patrick, if a for example, if a vampire gets turned, it's going to go gaseous, go right into find its coffin hidden somewhere and go in. I agree. But like yeah, intelligent undead are going to do some things. Yeah. So, house rule. Okay. Well, it's a house rule. That's great. So yeah, that's one that was imbalanced way back in the day. That one turning is in DMG. Yeah, it is a little bit, but it's still, it leaves a lot to the DM to decide. So, all right, that's just one. That's just one that we.
Yeah. Yeah. I think when you said that players want to, meaning if you give them the finger, they want the whole hand, that they are pulling and pulling and pulling as hard as they can.
Yeah.
And a lot of players are that way. They want to maximize their possibility of success at all times. And one of the key ways that I try to deal with it is that players always want to say, "Oh, my character is doing this, this, and this," and keep piling and running across the room, and I'm throwing whatever, I'm grabbing something in my backpack, and then I kill the damn thing that is standing over there. So my first is that you simply take the first thing they do and say, well, you do this, and then you rule an outcome, and then you just ignore everything afterwards, so to speak. So you give them one thing to do, and you grab that thing and you run with it, and the rest you say, we take that next round. So try and chop it up, because players always wants to, for good reason. I'm probably the same way when I'm a player. You want to maximize what you do in your round. And that's why I like rule system that have short, little, neat action economies, not 3-4 things and points and all that stuff, because that means that you have much more manipulation room, so to speak. I want quick, neat things. You do this, and then you move on to the next one, and so on. So keep the game going forward rather than having long discussions with one player about all the stuff. Yeah,
that's it. And I think all this experience going back really prepared me for two things: running games at cons, and running games on live stream. I think it really did. And so I say it lovingly about my guys. I'll give you another item. It's usually items that are the ones of that stupid rod of alertness. Anyone know what that is? Like, I mean, that thing can detect lie at will. And like Alan's character used to, like, it was like a Mr. Microphone. It would go around and like speaking to the rod, I was like, oh my God. We've all had that. We've all had that when we were younger, especially. Like, you give an item, and it's going to get the hell abused out of it. Another one, hooks of displacement. My God. Notice I've never given out a cloak of displacement on stream, and you probably will never see one, because it's just so crazily imbalancing. Now NPCs may have one. But but
and now I want to give some more love according to with the action structure and stuff, meaning the action economy. Old school got that right. You do one thing and you move, and that's it. Meaning CNC and stuff, that they have that simple structure. Meaning third edition, when you had swift actions, full actions, this minor actions, and then you have bonus actions and 3 action economy and stuff. It's way too complicated. Old school and stuff simple. You do one thing and you move. That's it, what you do per round. And then if you do something, you can react instead of doing something. That's about it.
It's definitely something you see and you're like, man, I want to I want to get the hell out. I agree 100%.
But Yeah, but I also understand that there is another way of playing the game. It's a super tactical way.
Yep.
And 3rd edition and 4th edition are D&D's tactical editions, so to speak. So if you like
absolutely.
tactical play,
Right.
then and especially if you like Jay, you have a table with miniatures on it. Then you can, if you want to go the tactical 5-foot square, then both 3rd and 4th edition and Pathfinder 2 are probably interesting options, because that is one aspect of the play that you can enhance and have a lot of fun with if you want to. When you have all sorts of things like flanking, and you have a myriad of rules that way. I had my period like that. Now I want to downplay it, not completely, but to a large degree. But if you play in a virtual tabletop, it's also easier to have this. But old school gaming was, weirdly enough, a lot of theater of the mind back then, rather than for which is kind of weird, because it came out of wargaming that is tactical alone.
Well, it was just because people were playing around the table and they didn't, there was no 3D. Those miniatures, like, there was never, you had to be like a multimillionaire back then to find stuff that weren't like, those pieces of lead were like slag, so.
But that, I think, is a very important aspect in game style, to find, do you like a lot of tactical play,
Thanks,
or do you want to have much less of tactical play?
Well, agreed 100% on that.
And if you like
play style.
And if you like tactical play, you should look into editions like Pathfinder 2. You should look into others that emphasize tactical play. If not, then skip that. Go old school. Go Shadow Dark or something like that.
Game systems.
Yeah, exactly. 5e is kind of mid-level, mid-level between the highly tactical and the low tactical ones, so to speak.
I had the fighter box set. Remember the original fighters? That was it. I had the fighters, and the demi-humans one.
Yeah,
that's it. That's the only two I had, and so we would get. And I still have it somewhere. All the crappy slag pieces, we called it the fishy box. That was all the monsters. If it was a dragon or if it was 12 orcs, they go on, and we'd have the mat, and you'd have, that was it, man. And we had some painted miniatures. Probably 50% of the miniatures were painted back then, for characters. So the DMG, you want to play? So. There's some, there's great resources for Excel. I agree, and the DMG, you still know where to find it too. Yeah. So trust me, I've come from that background, and I knew right away that I wanted to play with a visual game. It's just we've always wanted to. Now we have it after all these years.
But it's interesting that you play a visual game, but you don't play it super tactical.
No.
Exactly. And that I think is a cool way, and that makes it a lot easier for you to play online the way you do, and quick at conventions, because you're less tactical, but you're still cool visuals, so to speak.
And if you all have noticed, I've given in on a couple. If someone's 30 feet away, and I'll let them attack that round, because I know it's going to speed the game up.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and then you have another interesting thing with ranges, is because a lot of games have, like, you have close range, near range, and far range, and beyond far range, meaning things that you can stab and you can touch, like the 5 feet and hit, melee range. And then you have short things that you can throw a dagger and a spear at. And then you have long range things that you can shoot with a bow and a crossbow, and maybe cast long range spells, and then everything beyond there. And that's it, so to speak. And it's a good rule of thumb. In some games, that's all the range you have. I want to be a little bit precise, but I often, rule of thumb, you just do that, so to speak. You don't do exact, so to speak. You can,
True, Rob. Yeah. So I got a Nipper statue up there somewhere, and that's been some big things before.
Yeah.
One up to 130-foot step is no. 10 foot, but sometimes when the game's going and I look at the time and I got a half hour left, like yesterday, when they're all trying to run to that final hill, and I let someone attack. I think it was Brett's character, Fridolin. He moved like 40, 50 feet. I was like, you can attack this round. They'll attack you back. I just gotta because that time and place in the game, I want the flow. I want to, so people are thinking about 3, 4, and 5 is that even as they said they were reducing 10. Yeah, it increased it.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong. You just need to be aware not everybody likes it. Some people love more technical complexity and some people dislike it depending on. Yeah.
Yeah. I want it to be and I think it's proven so far because all the new people who play are not overwhelmed in the game. I don't want them being overwhelmed.
Exactly. And I think you need to be aware of it is a scale, so to speak, from one end to the other. And there's a lot of leeway in the middle. And so yeah.
All right. So I got this idea from what happened Saturday. And that is I forget when even a person's played for multiple years, like Korg, and he has a druid for the first time he gets shape change ability. I have no idea how that works in 5th edition. He has no idea how it works in 1st. So I had to go through and explain to him, the options that he can do, what creatures he could do, and what happens when he changes back. And I never even thought about that because it's a special ability that a lot of like for example, I think Josh's character just got 7th level, Josh Pops. Carl just got 7th level druid as well. So
but it's a perfect example because there are no rules for how that function. It's up to each spell or whatever. No, because it's like, you use spell so and so, and then you have to list all the what happens when you cast that spell on creature, whatever, so to speak. And then you have another spell, and then lists all the stuff that happens for that one. And I thought about in Hawk Tales, I want to standardize that. So there's 4 levels of shape change. You have the super illusionary shape change. You just change the shape of someone. That is like illusionary effect. Nothing happens to your stats.
Self.
You don't.
I got it.
Yeah, exactly. You don't get better. You just look different. That's level 1. Level 2 is superficial. You get like you change. You can be another creature physically, and someone can touch you and whatever, and you feel, so to speak. And the first one can be detected by just staring at someone and make an educated guess, and you can see through it by going and touch someone and realize that is something else. But the superficial one, you have to use true seeing or something like that to see it, and you get the physical bonus. You become stronger and bigger or smaller and something like that. But you don't get magical bonuses. You don't get stuff like that. And also it can be dismissed quickly, so to speak. It's limited duration. You do it and you stay changed for the duration of the magic effect, and then it ends. And then you have the deep shape change. That's when you cast it and then you are changed to that creature until someone reverses it meaning its duration is permanent, and you get all the effects of the creature, meaning or the abilities. You become that creature in that sense that you get the magical whatever. You get not all the natural feats. You get natural attacks. You get the strength, the dexterity, the size, and the whole shebang of it. But you still truly deep down, you're still the same creature you were before. So you can detect that it's something with that one, and it's really something. That's like dragon shape change, for instance, that dragons have a human form. That's the deep change. And then you have the true change. That's like reincarnation and stuff. You become another creature. That's the true change that you really really change. And that could be a god that simply say, well, I'm going to convert. You become a frog because a god wishes you. Then you really truly become a frog, and someone can research it and use true name and figure out that you once were something else, but now you're truly a frog. Those and all the spells and magic effects, they function at one of these levels. You don't have to list all the exceptions. It functions at one of these 4 levels, shape change. So that's I try to make the rules because that way it's a lot easier. You learn these ways and you can say, well, this spell works on the deep level or the superficial level. A druid shape change is superficial, for instance, or you might be able to gain one animal that you can change into it at a deep level, for instance, or something. So yeah, so you can kind of say this effect and this ability works at that level. That makes it easier to adjudicate because then you can look at the rules for this and you don't have to worry. This is how this functions.
So another let me do another I gotcha moment here. Not you, Anna, but in general.
No, yeah.
So it had back here in first edition, the standard druid had to be naturally occurring.
Yeah.
Why? It just makes sense because we would have there's creatures that you just like an Arumvarax. If anyone knows what that is, you don't want your druid changing into an Arumvarax.
Yeah.
It's nasty. So we limited it to black bear as the largest, and so. And Core got it, and he did it well. And he was a pelican the one time. He's flying as a pelican, charging the mage and a bowman. I was like shocked, but he survived fortunately. But and who brought that up? Fourth, breath weapons. Well, yes, yes. There's no breath weapons that I know of for druid, but my Avenger subclass.
Yeah.
Where you remember the D&D movie? How could she turn into an owlbear? That's not allowed, and blah blah blah. Well, look at this. Oh, gee, owlbear is one of them. So here's all the abilities that they get. Well, Winter Wolf has a breath weapon, right? And if you get we don't have a single Avenger 13th level yet in the campaign. I don't think we have one above 10th. So we have no one breathing like a green dragon right now, guys and gals. Just note, but it exists. So
in Hawktails, I nerfed the druid shape change ability in that sense that first of all, it's an animal you have to have interacted with. You have had to cuddle it, studied it, and know it well. So you can't say that I want to be a whatever, and I've never seen one of these. No, it doesn't work that way. You can become the things that you've seen around your house and interact with like a fox or a bunny or whatever. And you have to choose one, and then to change into something else. That's another. You have to gain each shape you want to change into. You have to acquire that, so to speak. And then you can get more powerful ones like, you need to go out and find a bear to socialize with before you can become one, so to speak. So that can be a part of the game. If you want to be a tiger or a wolf, you have to go out and find a wolf or a tiger or whatever it is. So and then there are limits to the size and stuff. And then you can become more deeply changed into one, so to speak. You can get it more and more true. Yeah.
So second edition, the specialty priests, some of them, and specialty druids, like for example, the specialty druid of Rilithane Ralphel, the Sylvan Elf tree god, has it that you have to have a totem animal. So, and it's only one. So, like for example, Alan's got his specialty druid of Rilithane can only do Kushi. Elven dog. That's the only form she can turn into.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of like, so it was kind of, they were kind of starting to mold it in, which is cool. But I think that comes from, believe it or not, I think that comes from an Eric Boyd book. I think it's Demi-Human Deities. So Eric actually wrote that. But it's a cool option to change up and make your druids a little different. I just. If I have a specialty druid, like a specialty priest, I'd go there, but there's very few of them in the campaign. So but the Avenger's the way. If you want to play monster shapes, there you go. The Avenger class is where it is. Plus, you start out with -2 strength and -2 con, so you're not you got a penalty to start with. So but that's an alternate to a druid.
Another thing that I think needs some clarification from the old school that can be a little bit tricky is summonings and conjurations and various stuff that in third edition they started to codify it a bit and then they screwed up in fourth edition and they never fixed it again in fifth edition and that is that I want to have it, and in Hawktales I have like there's 3 levels to this. You have calling spells. That means that you have a spell that lures in animals that are already in the vicinity. Meaning if you want to call in bears, then there needs to be a natural bear there. Otherwise, the spell doesn't function. Calling a familiar, for instance, Find Familiar is a calling spell that the familiar needs to be there, and then you can turn it into a familiar by calling it. That's one level. Summon things. That means that they're projected, that they're summoned in from somewhere else. You get it from some other plane. You can get fake creatures from the Feywild, or you can get celestials from the upper planes, or demons from the abyss, or something like that. It's a summon. You summon them in from those planes, which means that you have to have some way of connecting to those planes where you are. Otherwise, the spell will not function. And then you have conjuration spells. They simply create the creature out of thin air there, so to speak, and they are way more powerful, but they might also be more limited. But it's really cool because you don't need to have a connection somewhere else. That the creature is magically created then and there by the effect, so to speak. And I think that's important because depending on where you cast the spell and what the circumstances are. And I think it's important that each spell that does this, it's stated where it's a calling effect, a summoning effect, or a conjuration.
Well, so funny you say that.
Yeah.
Because the mage that they had was a call specialist yesterday.
Yeah.
So good old Claire Duveau.
Yeah.
And these are from the Great Net Spellbook, some of them, and then I made more. But so Rob was on here, and here is it shows you, this is called Dog Call, which I think is hysterical. Wild dogs, war dogs, and then blink or death. So she summoned 4 death dogs, so ones that are two heads and all. And that is where.
But if it's a calling spell, you need to if you cast it in the wrong neighborhood, there will be no dogs.
This one's a conjure. It's called that, but it's a conjuration summon.
Exactly,
right?
That's the thing. A lot of these spells are labeled one thing, but they actually are another thing. So that's important.
So instead of Centipede Call, I used Scorpion Call. Here's Ape Call, where the carnivorous apes.
Yeah.
These are spells that are approved in my game that I've called out of the Great Net Spellbook for years, and this is my doc on them. So here, there's Force Ball. I didn't use Spider Call, but I used, what did I use at third?
Yeah. Thank you, Rick Phyllis. Yeah, I think all of these spells are really cool, but I think it's important to have that distinction because that might be really important in certain instances, so to speak, because it makes the magic cooler, and you need to kind of
There's Troll Call. I use that one. Yep. That summons trolls. So there you go. Thanks, Patrick. But so that's a cool, like. And I try to make that mage. She only had one really mass area effect spell, and she used it on Korg by himself because he was charging her as a pelican, right? So, but that was fun. But just.
And you can make certain conjuration or summoning spells really cool because you can have a summon, like a paladin can summon its warhorse. It's the same animal that comes every time. And it's also important because a summoned creature, when it dies, goes back to the plane that comes from, and they can't die permanently here. So it's just their manifestation that dies. So a paladin that summons its warhorse from the celestial planes, and that can be important. Yeah.
Later editions.
Exactly, but that you have to decide. You can decide these things depending on the rules, so to speak. A calling spell and whatever you call in, when they die, they have literally died. And the summoning spell, the conjuration the summoning I have depends on where you summon them from. If you summon them from another country on the Prime, if they die, they die. But if you summon a celestial, they only kind of projecting in, so to speak. So it depends on the type of spell and where they take them from. But conjuration, then you kill the thing that it's being conjured, because it will automatically go out of existence when the duration is ended, so to speak. The creature only exists for the duration of the spell.
It's a cool thought. But and once again, in my game, because of me not worrying about the minutia, I don't go excuse me, I got like crap all over the place here.
Me too.
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
2 plus. Yeah, Robbie, Gal
Yeah.
got 2+1 prod items. Like
Yeah.
a special ability.
Mm-hmm.
Old school paladin summoning at 4th level, the warhorse.
Yeah.
It's a real warhorse that comes in 1st edition, and when that
Mm-hmm.
thing dies, oh well, you know. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
it
But
sits
it
here
can be.
10 years.
Yeah.
Every 10 years, you can summon
Mm-hmm.
one.
Yeah. And yeah, and that example, I might rule the same way. That I haven't thought about that specifically for now, but it depends on where you summon it from. You can gain that trust of that particular horse, and that's it, so to speak. But the problem is, if you get something, if you conjure a creature, that means that creature has no prior experience. You can't conjure it and then
Right.
ask for advice on whatever, because that creature literally came out of existence at that moment. It might be smart, but it will not understand anything that existed before it was created out of thin air, so to speak. So there's limitations that way too. So if you want to summon in something powerful to save you out of a quandary, conjure something might not be it might get it physically powerful, but might be an idiot, so to speak.
Right. So here's an interesting question there. Rob, you have an elemental, so it may not affect you. Anyone with a general mage in my game, have you ever seen me in your spellbook have a monster summoning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spell? I hate them. So they're not in your book, because first of all, the randomness on that it's too much for me. Like, oh my God, the tables are big. Yeah, I just don't do it anymore. I don't do that. I'd rather have the specific call spells of a specific type.
Yeah.
So.
And also, if you start taking these rules fairly literally, like you do in organized play, the problem is that when you start summoning in demons or celestials and stuff, they can in turn summon. So that means that theoretically you can have an army. Yeah, and that was something that was often abused systematically in organized play. Yeah.
The number one abuser of that, I'm gonna put hey Tolnak, I'm gonna put his picture here in 2 different pictures. The number one abuser of this all the time is this individual right there, Tim. So my rule is the following.
Yep.
The summoned creature cannot resummon, period. And that's all.
That's a good rule of thumb.
The initial one that is there in the fight, or is there, it's the boss, it's a type 5 demon, it's a Marilith. That one can summon, but the others cannot. And that's all.
For the rule, the way that my rule of thumb is that something that is gated in, or projected in, can't summon things.
Okay.
But if it comes there in person, meaning a demon lord who are just being summoned or are just projecting itself to the prime material plane, can't summon in a whole bunch of stuff. But a demon lord that sneaks in for real can summon in a whole army if they want to. And that's the thing. But on the other hand, that army can be dispelled. A demon lord, something that is being summoned, can be banished. But a demon lord or a demon that comes in for real, you can't banish it because it's physically there.
That's an interesting concept too, because summon elementals, conjure elementals, especially in my game, that the 5th level spell, they cannot be dispel magicked. Elementals that are brought in.
Exactly. The same thing here, because they are part of the only things from the outer planes and Feywild and stuff like that. They can be dispelled or banished and stuff, but creatures that belong on the plane or are traveled in there physically, they can't. So, and since the real world is made up of the elements, that means that a fire elemental, you have to fight it or cool it or splash water on it or something. Yeah, so you can't banish it.
You got to, all right. So, Expellus, that's a great question. I'm going to tell you this. Back in the day, Len Kafka would be DMing at a table in the 70s or 80s, and he'd go, the way I do it, if you don't want to do it, get off the table. You know what I'm saying? So that's what happened. Whatever Len said, or whatever Gary said, or whatever Jeff Grubb said, or whoever went, and that was it. And that's the way it is, kind of, when you go to like freaking Gary Con and Doug Niles is DMing, or whoever's DMing, or Harold Johnson. It's their way, and it's the same thing with me DMing.
Yeah, but
I'm saying this nicer way.
Yeah, but I think that needed to change because that's the way I always experienced it up until I started organized play. And I can understand that because when you run an organized play campaign, there's supposed to be like a standardized way of playing the game. So you can take your character
Right.
between games and it functions. So that requires, and I think it's important to understand the difference between home games,
Right.
even whether they happen at home or in a game store or at a convention, but a game that is run by a DM using his or her house rules and stuff, there versus an organized play game that's supposed to play according to some standardized rules.
I'm not going to call anyone out here, but Curtis has told me they don't join up in the GaryCon tournament anymore because the judges are so wishy-washy, iffy. You know, they may get Alan Crowe, which is great, but he's a stickler, or they may get this person who has no idea about first edition and can get away with everything.
Yeah.
And that kind of ruins the tournament style. And that's the problem right now with doing massive tournaments. They're the judges. It's just, I'm just saying, it's just the way it is.
But to me, there are virtues both with organized play and also to play it some specific way for
organized play and tournament play are different things, right?
Exactly. But what I'm saying is that there are different ways to play the game, and you have to, meaning sometimes if I went and played Pathfinder organized play, I had to accept that these were the terms you played the game during Pathfinder organized play. But when I play with someone like Carlos or UJ or whatever, I have to accept the way you play the game at your table, because that's part of the bargain, so to speak, and part of the deal, and that. But on the other hand, you should try and respect your players. So even if you have to say it respectably and diplomatically, but yeah, this when you play a home game, you can have a certain. And it's a way of selling your game to your players too. But organized play, I think, is when there was kind of that it started to be this way, that there was a right way of playing the game. Meaning old school, I think the whole idea was that each table was different. That was part of the deal in the early days. It wasn't supposed to be standardized. But we have to remember that convention play, you had a lot of it wasn't organized play, but it was convention play that was competition. And then I remember back in the day that you had the person who wrote or organized the convention sat down with all the DMs in the group and say, this is how you adjudicate all these situations, because each table was supposed to get that convention. So you had like an organized play for that convention, and that module was supposed to be played this way at that convention. So all the 8 different tables that were competing had to have a reasonably level playing field. But I remember I went to convention where there were a lot of yelling and screaming because one party got away with something that some other party didn't get away with, and there were always disagreements. But I always felt like that was part of the game. That was, meaning different DMs rule differently, and adjudicate differently.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's part of the game, and you have to kind of accept that both as a player and as a DM.
At a con, you got 4 hours on that table, and you got to get moving. And if someone's going to argue the rules of you, I've never had anyone argue with the rules of me at a con ever.
I haven't had. They've asked me for a clarification several times, but when I clarified it, then we just move on. So yeah.
So, all right. So here's one back in the day that I removed right off the bat because I saw it was an issue. And this is very vague right here. And this is a paladin. It says, if the paladin has a holy sword, a special magic sword, which your referee is aware of and will explain to you if the need arises. What the hell does that mean? Right? He or she protects a circle of power and a 10-foot diameter. And this dispels magic at the level of magic is equal to the experience level of the paladin. Holy jeez.
Oh yeah, but that was part of. But realize this is a lot of the game rules that are in later edition were in the player's handbook were still in the Dungeon Master's Guide, including the to-hit tables. There are no to-hit tables in the player's handbook. It's all in the Dungeon Master's Guide. And so as a player, you're not supposed to know how hard it is to hit something. You just roll the dice, and Jay, you follows it because as a player, you roll the die and you tell the player if they hit or not.
Yeah, I mean, they
Yeah,
they
and
know they're plus 10 damage,
that's
but
in the spirit of first edition.
right. Just
Yeah.
having,
But
like,
I totally get it that the Paladin is with the Holy Avenger is a really powerful item that is always on, always functions, and yeah.
exactly, Rob. Block that
Yeah.
spot out. Can you imagine having the Paladin walking around with first off, I don't like the another thing I changed. I've given out Holy Avengers that are lowest +2.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't all have to be +5 weapons. All right. So let's just note that. I made them lower, +2, +3, +4, +5.
Mm-hmm.
And if you play Baldur's Gate 2, there's a +6 in there. So
yeah,
it's
and and one of the interesting things that in old school versus later is that there are a lot of stuff that is written always works, so to speak. It's a lot of things here. It always dispels. It dispels everything below a certain level, or that there's a lot of absolutes in the rules here that I don't like in old school. There's a lot of there's a lot of like it always works, or it can never fail and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that are just written as this just happens, and there's no opposing roll, there's no competing checks or anything like that. It just and it's a lot of save or suck, so to speak, and a lot of and things. It's like a sleep spell. It just, if it works, it just works, and you just fall asleep, period. And so there's a lot of stuff like that in later edition they realize it's much smarter to have like it becomes more of a kind of my modifier versus your modifier and opposed rolls, which means that sometimes it succeeds, sometimes it doesn't, and so on. But in old school it's like, okay, if these circumstances are right, it just succeeds, period.
Right.
And that is something that I think later editions learned, that it's smarter to have a gradual success or fail, or more random with bonuses chance of succeeding. Yeah.
So here's another thing we changed.
Yeah.
So, and that is here. The spell, paladins don't get spells till 9th. Rangers don't get druidic till 8th, and then they get mage later on. And I'm like, I liked what, and this is where I admit, I like what they did with spells for rangers and paladins. And we kind of made a change, and we lower. This is straight class only, old first edition. So if you're a multi-class ranger thief, you're not getting them at lower level. But if you're a straight ranger, so here you go. We gave them to them at 4th. Clerical spells and the ranger spells, and this was an enhancement. Also, these 0 means that they have wisdom bonus. They're going to get they're going to get the spell then.
Yep. That's good of you to tell that, because a lot of people who haven't played old school, I remember that still, but a lot of people, it's kind of seems weird to have 0 listed in the
right. But if you have like 15 wisdom, you're going to get a spell. You're going to 5th level. You're going to get a 2nd level spell.
Yep.
If you're going to have 18 wisdom, then you're going to get 4th level up here. It's just
and this made paladins and rangers really powerful at high level, because you got 4th level spells. That's fairly powerful.
It's good, but like it's still not where it's not raised deads in first edition. It's not
it's not. That's
it's not
true.
restorations.
That's true.
It's not that, but
it's lesser restorations, and
it's it's cure serious wounds and things like that. So it worked. It worked for us, and we added healing outside of ability, lay on hands. Well, yeah, I mean that's an innate paladin ability that goes back to first edition. I love the paladin lay on hand ability. So absolutely, but that's just a change that we made from first edition. Now the mage one I kept the same, because I don't think I think rangers get limited magic, get those limited magic spells, but higher up. So and the tracking ability, the tracking is 10% plus 10% per level, and then you got all these modifiers. That's got to be the most amorphous effect ever. When say they track, I roll, and then if the roll's close to what they have in a percent, then it's good. I'm not going through all this. I just don't have time for all these modifiers. Like here, for every 24 hours, or for every creature above 1 in the party at 2%, for every 24 hours at -10. I'm not calculating all in the game. All right. they find the tracks or they don't. You know, it's just like I don't need to go
But
through all
that was one of the, I think, both most fun and also most hilarious tables in third edition to explain skills. They had in the player's handbook in third edition, they had it was like a quarter of a page or something, and it explained DCs and difficulty classes, and it started with like a DC 1 or something like that, or the lowest DC, and that was the village idiot tracking a bunch of hill giants across a muddy field. I think that was a DC 1.
Okay, and that makes total sense.
And then it was
too.
like a DC 40. That was like a 20th level ranger that is tracking
tracks,
a bunch of orcs over hard ground that passed a week ago and it rained yesterday. That was like a DC 40. Yeah, but I love that the village idiot that is tracking a group of giants across a muddy field.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
no DC, but
yeah.
you have percentages. Everything was like it was like a thief percent.
Yeah.
So
and here it ties into skills, because in old school, since you didn't have any skills, that meant that all these things were treated as their own little thing, so to speak.
All right, so I'm going to give a kudos to Len here. Let's go to the thief abilities. So you got your base thief abilities on the table here, right? Pickpockets, open locks, find, remove traps, move silently, hide in shadows, hear noise, climb walls, read languages. So when I made the bounty hunter class, they're all about setting traps, right? I mean, putting out a lot of traps people are going to get stuck in. And is that the same as find, remove? Well, oh gosh, I don't know if I can. Let me see if I have this. Is it set? I hope I do. Set traps. Do I?
Yeah, the ability bonuses and stuff, they crept in over time, because I think someone realized it was a smart way of doing it, and they crept in gradually.
Let me see, Leonard. Let me go to Leonard and see if I have it. Contest spells, Leonard. All right, and Leonard. Let me see if I have set traps here. Damn, I will have to get out of the book. All right, so Leonard created an. Oh, it's right here. Let's get out of here because I'm trying to find the dragon number. The Thief, a special look. Issue 47. Okay. So this is where I want something's missing. I want something else added, another ability. So it says here, the Thief. This is from Leonard. The Thief character is more often abused by players and underrated, and he just goes through all this and he says, well, there needs to be this new ability, and so he adds set traps. He added the set trap ability and noted that if you rolled 21% higher, you set the trap off on yourself. If it's 1%
Why don't
higher,
just have a trap ability that works both for setting them and disabling them and finding them?
Yeah, he said that it didn't work.
You could just simplify traps.
Right, but he said so, and I agree with Leonard the way he did it, because with me, with the bounty hunters and with other classes like bandits, they're going to set deadfall traps outside. It's not your standard find move traps of a lock, right? Say you're setting a snare trap outside. I mean, you know, the find remove traps that I see here in this is basically for locked doors, pick locks, you know, locks on chests and things, and so yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, this is an important aspect of the game that was sadly overly complicated. It crept into D&D over time, because if you go to OD&D, there wasn't much of this, and then AD&D first edition started putting a lot of this in as separate subsystems, and then they became more and more standardized through the editions into what became the skill system, and that is, I think, much more powerful, because it's something that can handle more situations, and it's more of a gradual, and it's much easier in that you have to go and find the table, because you can kind of you put it, and everybody has a go. You can try something, so to speak. Everybody has a chance to listen. Why should more than thieves, even clerics should be able to listen to things?
Well,
and stuff. So yeah,
I don't listen well, so
no. But what I'm saying is that it should be kind of a gradual thing, and it should be not only for thieves.
You got one, Dale. You didn't get the other one.
Yeah,
one. You got one.
And when it comes to the interesting thing is that if you've had skill system from the beginning, I don't think saves would have been invented, or at least because in Hawktails I just merged the two together. So you use skills to save from spells.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so if you are good at acrobatics and stuff like that, you're good at avoiding getting caught up in a fireball or lightning bolt as well. It's the same thing. You can, and if you are athletic and good at avoiding pain and handle that, you can do that. So yeah.
Yeah, Patrick. 1 of 20. You go downstairs, all the customizations I do are in this, and then all the other color-coded books with spells and classes and all that. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. It's a library of volumes. Yep, exactly. So
and
what
that
happens
I think is something
what happens in a poison save? You get bitten by a spider.
There's 4 basic skills: athletics, influence, insight, and tinker.
It's not cavalier, it's barbarian.
Yeah. So that will be an athletics constitution check.
Okay.
To avoid poison. But it depends on the poison, but almost all poisons will be that way. And there's 4 base skills. There's athletics for all the physical stuff, avoiding things, jumping, not falling into pits, all the stuff, avoiding magical things that trying to snare you or whatever. All the physical stuff, that's athletics. And then it could be athletic strength for swimming or jumping, and it can be athletics dexterity to balance things or avoid falling into things and stuff, and athletics constitution to avoid various poisons or something that's trying to be painful or something. And then you have influence. That's when you try to convince another creature of something. You try to charm them, intimidate them, diplomacy, stuff like that. Religion, you have a sermon and you try to sway them. So when you try to influence other creatures, that to do your bidding, so to speak, or avoid them from seeing you or whatever, that's influence. And performance, you play your lute and you try to sway their mood or whatever it is. And insight, that's when you try to understand or process information of some sort. You start to figure things out. You try to observe the world or investigate something or figure something out. That's insight. Tinker,
Jeff.
That's when you try to play around with traps, whatever. You try to build something, or you try to mend something, or you try to figure or paint a picture or whatever. So tinker, that's when you play around with things and stuff. So those are the only 4. There's only 4 base skills, and then you have expertise on different things on top of this. But since every character has, you can be trained in these if you want to. You can say I'm a non-sporty, non-athletic character. I can't jump. I'm ignoring that. Then you don't add your proficiency bonus to it. But you might say that, well, I'm a shy person. I don't want to talk to anybody, so you don't train in influence. But so on. So arcana, for instance, that's insight, that's understanding of the world. Religion is influence because you try to convince other people of things, so to speak. So those are the 4 skills, and then each of these 4s have a bunch of expertise under them that you can train to get better at certain things, appraising things, or you want to be good at influence other people to whatever, or I want to have animal handling and insight. I want to be able to ride and do that stuff. Yeah. So those are the thing. And under tinker is traps and locks, for instance, are 2 specialities under that.
Yeah, there's things I don't. Time is. I'm not going into the time lords and the chronomancers and stuff. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. What was I doing? I was looking for my Dungeon Master's Guide to pop that up.
Yeah.
In a second here. So let's go to a second edition. On my first, where's my first? First. Nah, I got it. I put them all in the book here. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, time stuff is tough. Yeah.
Tough. Although I've been having fun with time stuff when it comes to taking characters from the past, moving them into the future.
Yeah, but I'm more thinking spells like time stop and stuff
time
like
stop
that.
Is a crazy spell.
Yeah, so I'm I'm thinking about, I'm starting to have ideas on how to handle those, but yeah.
I've never had a well, that's not true. Monty Holidays, but we've never had a character in the last 40 years been able to cast a 9th level mage.
No, it's more like master villains and gods and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Should they be able to
absolutely.
just stop things and just kill people and or
No.
what, kill characters and stuff? Yeah, no, it should be, yeah.
It's a good point. I'm looking. All right, here's all the combat tables.
Yeah.
All right.
Because if one creature can do it, then others should be able to do it as well. So yeah.
A really, really difficult topic. A special,
Okay.
definitely a special ability back in first edition. Why I created the bounty hunter, because it's a knockout instead of this, is the assassination table. Right?
Yeah. But to me, that's just stupid because that's just circumventing the rules.
Okay.
Meaning you have a whole chapter for combat rules. Use them.
Well, the class itself is you're sneaking up vital organs where you're slitting throats
but
or whatever.
that should be covered under the combat rules.
Well,
yeah, that was my big invent. This is, in my opinion, just stupid game design.
Okay.
You have a whole chapter with, you have sneak attacks, you have skulking around, you have move silently, you have weapon damage, whatever. Use that. And if that doesn't work, you have to retweak how the combat rules work. Instead of just inventing one table where you can just roll the percentage and see, why don't have a percentage for all the combat? It will be easier, quicker.
Yeah, well, you need to sneak up with it. You need to, first off, a surprise. Yeah. You have to have surprise to even get to this point. Only seen assassin used once in a way we were meant to be used. Happened to be a city setting. Oh, assassin was used. So assassinating is very difficult to do. It is. It just, the bounty hunters I have use knock unconscious instead of assassinate. All right. So
but you can, meaning, give them one heck of a sneak attack and do double damage when they crit. So if they can sneak up to someone and do a crit, they cut the head off immediately. Meaning that should be part of the rules, that you can effectively do an assassination.
Yeah.
And I even put in Hawktails that if you can even kill someone stealthily. If you hit with more than 10 needed to hit, you can then do it in public and you'll be able to hit someone. It will be so much harder to detect it. You walk up to someone and you just stab them in a way that no one sees it. And when you walk away, the person just falls apart, so to speak, and blood spatters everywhere. So you can kill someone in a crowd and it will be hard to detect you actually doing it.
It's something we don't need to discuss today, but I'm just saying that
what I'm saying is that they're different. To be honest, there is nothing wrong with having this, but the problem I have with it is that it's just a way of circumventing the rules you already have. That's my problem.
Yeah. Well, if you all note, with thieves in my game, say a thief is 5th level, that's triple damage on the backstab. If they critical hit and they roll triple damage on the crit, it scales. So it's catastrophic. So it's 9 times.
And you have a good crit table too.
Yeah. So but the assassin's a little.
Do you really need this then?
Well, yes, because you want to have the assassins in the back of the minds, as far as RP goes, and as far as the gameplay is, that there are bad individuals out there that are looking that take missions to kill people. You understand?
Yeah, but you could just use you could use the same rules as you use for other backstabbers, and
but then they're not assassins; they're thieves.
Oh, you call them an assassin. You can have an assassin class that are even better at backstab than the thieves. Use the same.
Yeah, then everyone will be an assassin. Do you understand? That's the issue you get with balance. Why would I be a thief if I can be an assassin class and get more backstab damage? So then you eliminate thieves.
Yeah. So that's why you simply decide backstabbing can be this effective in the game. Period.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm just curious why they made a special table that circumvents the combat rules.
Well, critical hits are a house rule there, Jeff. Now they're not in 3rd edition. They're threat
That's
levels
true.
and
Yeah.
stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, and it tells you by the weapon if it's double or triple or whatever with them. So just don't allow assassins.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I have some in there.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike. Hey, Celestian Mike is correct.
Yeah,
I
I remember I played it back in the day, and we
Yeah.
had a disaster in the game. That was a sad thing, but I was 16 or
I
15 or
don't.
16.
So assassins are rare in my game, extremely rare. But bounty hunters are not. Bounty hunters use blunt weapons, and they render unconscious, but they get the multiple backstab damage attack. But when they go to knock out, they don't get the backstab damage. It's straight up single damage. So, but
Yeah.
it works. It works in my game. I use the same table to knock out, to render unconscious. So, just be a byproduct of all the heck. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with having special rules for this, but then every character you could have a percentage table like this for knockouts, for instance. But then you should be, if the same circumstances, everybody should use the same table. It's like, yeah, it's it's like build the standard combat system and use it for everybody. That's yeah.
I don't know what a called shot is.
It was something that was introduced in 3rd edition. If you wanted to attack a certain thing, like let's say you have a villain that holds, let's say they have a procedure and they hold the dagger and they're supposed to put the hand into something, or have a beaker and you want to crush that, so you can attack the hand specifically. And that means that you get a much less chance of hitting, but you can hit the hand specifically and do damage to an item or to a certain body part. That was called cold shots in 3rd edition.
So in my game, I need the stigma that assassins exist. So like Turin Deathstalker, dual class fighter assassin, when they turned him into a straight fighter in 2nd edition, I'm like, why? But they did.
Yeah. But to me, it's a job you have in the setting, not something that is done mechanically. It's a job you have in the setting. Certain villains and creatures, humans and whatever, drow, whatever, have a job where they are paid to go and kill others. They can be fighters. They can know sneak attacks, sniping, special magic weapons, whatever. The technical stuff is up to the individual, but it's a job in the setting, not as something that is specific mechanically, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's just a different approach to the game style approach, so to speak. Yeah.
So what was that? I forget what I was doing there. I just saw a message from someone.
Yeah, and now I need to defend classes. Now I've been heckling classes or being critical. Now I need to defend them. Classes are a fantastic way of packaging things to make it easy to play and run. So because you decide and you get balance and stuff. So it's a way of making the game very approachable and easy to run and easy to create. So I totally get the appeal of classes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in 2E DMG. Yeah, I've never used Call Shot.
Yeah.
Never used it.
Also, there was in 2E. I think it was in 3rd edition as well. They kept it for 3rd edition.
I never used it.
I remember. Yeah.
You know, it just was something I think.
Yeah.
You know, okay. I'm sorry, Anna. Go ahead.
No. I was going to say, and the cold shot is one of these things that can be thematically cool, but it can also be a little bit difficult. Yeah.
It can go all over the place, and damage. Games are slow enough. So
and also D&D by tradition has a very abstracted combat, and that is by design. I remember Len talked about you don't want characters with arms cut off and without ears and stuff. So that's why there are no crit tables like the one you and Tim uses. And
until this book comes out.
Exactly, there's starting to be exceptions later on. Yeah.
Until this book comes out, and so. Number one, Unearthed Arcana creates the Death's Door spell. So that, when you're going down from -1 all the way down to -9, you can put them back up to 0, and then with other healing, they get functioning again. So that's in that. And then the repair injury spells in this book. So that if you get like and it's not for removed limbs, but say you get a knee split, you get chest injuries, you know, that kind of stuff, it works.
And
so,
that touched to another interesting topic, is that how gritty do you want your game?
Right.
And meaning how deadly do you want it, so to speak? Meaning now 5e introduces death saves and stuff like that. So it's So a lot of the meaning old school is traditionally deadly. You run out of hit points, you're dead, period. And that was it, so to speak. And then they started to various house rules. I remember we had negative hit points, and there's so many systems now. We have death saves and all that stuff. So
I like the negative hit point rule. It has saved many a player character.
Yeah.
The binding of the wound spells. There's a lot of spells out there. You know, necromancers have one called wound closure. Even my para elementals, I used that a couple weeks ago. The healing touch assault spell.
Yeah,
to save
but
someone.
most games that I've played have had some sort of house rule to make the game less deadly but keep it gritty, so to speak. It's most game. But then you have now games like Shadow Dark and others who bring back the deadliness again. When you're like, you roll a d4 and you die after so many rounds if no one saves you, period, so to speak.
Wow.
So games are becoming deadlier again after decades of kind of soften them up.
T-Rex Halls. All right.
They now become more deadly again often.
What we got 20, 30 minutes left.
Yep.
Let's pick a class someone wants to discuss that you want to see what kind of special abilities they have. Pick one, pick all. It doesn't matter. On this,
Gabriel has a good question while we think about class. Helmet rule from DM. That's a good one.
So the answer to that is that helms are important. With Tifaris, I want to stay away from the assassin as we've gotten.
We already discussed it.
Yeah, we're gonna do the monk. Monk, I can do.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
So helms, there's a lot of my critical hits that say no effective helms. So yeah, and also we allow helms to have plus. You know, there can be magical helms +1 to your armor class. They have special abilities. They can have spell effects. They can have resistances. So yes, so we've always had helms. So the answer to that
I put the thematically in, meaning you can have a helmet, but special bit. But in Hawktails, I didn't put any special armor, whatever. So they are more thematic than mechanical, because I wanted less complications. So that's why I simply ignored most armor. Simply assume that you have one, so to speak.
All right, the monk. If any of you were lucky enough to see yesterday, I threw a character from a current TV show at them. If anyone watching Peacemaker, Judo Master showed up, but he got an arm cut off, got put into the negatives. He can function. He could function. His special ability was just like a cavalier. He can function in the negatives. Can't attack though. So he was crawling away, and then who shot him? Was it Fridolin? Fridolin shot him and crit him twice, and one went right through his nuts, and the other one right through the back of his throat, and that was it for him. So yeah, double critical. It was disgusting. But all right, so monks. Yeah. First off, monks. Combine this with, let me get Dragon 53 out. Let me pop that up. Dragon 53. So there's a great, now I don't use everything in this article, but it really showed that, and this is one of the coolest pieces of artwork ever. This cover. Right. Okay. All right. So the little monks are terrible. They were. So I made a simple adjustment to that. And what page is this article on? This was a good article. All right, here we go. Right here. He's got a lot to kick with. Philip Myers. So we didn't go to die 6. So I went to die. The original monk in Player's Handbook's die 4. We went to die 4 +1 on hit points. That solved a lot. Plus they get a con bonus, because normally they're going to have a con that's going to be high enough. And then there's the toughness feat, and that'll add more hit points. But so I do die 4 plus 1 hit points, not die 4 on monks. All right. I leave all these table abilities are the same, with the exception of the following, and that is their effective armor class is basically an innate armor class. So if they have a ring of protection or a cloak of protection, and they're here at 8th level 4, they can lower that armor class. Whereas in the original, you weren't allowed to do that without bracers and you can't wear armor. So they can use enhancers that are armor class based off this as if it was a bracer. Yeah, and then I left everything else the same except this healing. 7th level, it's die 8 plus 1, not die 4 plus 1. Die 4 plus 1 is too small. So the self-heal ability once per day is die 8 plus 1. All right. And that is basically the only changes I made to this. And that was based off looking at this article here and seeing, this is I thought this was it's okay. But I didn't think that there's too many ability. I don't need to go here. I can just make some minor tweaks to it. And we did. That was it. But I don't have any problem with the monks. I really don't. I don't have an issue with the monk class. I kind of like it. It's not how do you put this? It's not it doesn't have to be an oriental style, right? It doesn't have to be, or is that the right word? A kung fu style or whatever.
Well, yeah, oriental. That makes because this one is clearly inspired by those cool oriental fighting kung fu movies and stuff. That's where it comes from. Yeah,
but it can be someone who's got a very disciplined body discipline, and they're a brawler type, right? But they're just using your monk ability.
Yeah, but a lot of this is over the top, superhuman magic kind of.
It's mind over matter stuff.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Meaning, it's kind of a lot of stuff like that. That it's cool if you want to play iconic superhero-like creatures. And so I totally get where the monk comes from. And in a lot of games, it's really cool to have stuff like that. And to me, I'm surprised that 5e doesn't have a lot of this because it will fit into something that is kind of superheroic, super whatever. But to me, when you have these kind of constructed, say, oh, you get all these superpowers, but you can only do these things. If you lift whatever, something that isn't, it's more like you're limited by arbitrary thematics. And that to me is kind of difficult. I have a hard time with it was like clerics could not use edged weapons. That was only blunt weapons back in the day. To me, that was kind of one of these ridiculous.
Especially priests can. So it's
but you had to invent a different version of it because it was, and it's a lot of this that is. I get it why you do this because you want to limit the class, meaning if you give them these kind of quiver of pain so they just die if you poke them, of course you can't have a d10 hit points and a bunch of other stuff. So you create these iconic specialists that are very weak in other areas, and for game balance that is necessary. So I totally get it. But nowadays, and back in the day I loved games like that and characters like that, but I moved on. That's not the game I want to play today. But I totally get it. Back in, if you asked me 40 years ago, this is so cool. I love this. But no, not today.
But how many monks do I really have in my game? I mean, in PCs.
Yeah, we had a couple back in the day because it was cool and kind of weird and yeah.
Yeah, 5, and that probably counts NPCs too. That's it. Out of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of characters. So it's a rare choose. Just because Korg played it as Maram, it's good. And he's a dual class.
Yeah,
he started as a fighter.
But it's something that works very well in movies and stuff. Meaning, I remember there was one movie, a series on Netflix that was like 10 years ago. That was really, really good. That depicted monks, and I love it. So in that sense, it was fantastic fun. But for my Greyhawk campaign, to have people that can fight without using weapons, yes, definitely. and Hawktails, you have the unarmed attack capability, specialization, and all that. So you can be brutally effective without using weapons.
Yeah.
But you don't get these kind of magical, whatever, quiver and poke them, they die kind of things. No. But you can get them using magic effects. So you can, technically, you could probably squeeze together a monk if you went around the world and learned a bit of magic, got a deity that gave you some special powers, and then you learn to fight. So yeah, so in that sense you can. But then it will be thematically, that's how I want them to be, not just like you have a class. So, but it's something that I've learned to dislike over the years. I developed that way. And in some ways, I feel like, damn, why can't I just love D&D the way it used to? I love to play in games with that. So, and I totally get the appeal, but it's not the appeal for me anymore.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, and that's the thing. Yep. That's yep.
It's just we have monks in our game that were more like the TV series. Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
And that's part of the game. The classes was supposed to be the iconics,
right?
The iconic fighter. That exactly that was what they were there to do, so to speak, is to be the stereotypical, cool, iconical. Label them what you want, so to speak, but the typical fantasy heroes. Yeah.
Talking about special abilities, two come to mind. Well, actually, it's one and the same. I always say in my game, most classes have their own bane.
Yeah.
So the bane of.
Oh, you mean the things that are really bad at that?
The bane of a magic user in my campaign is Len Kafka's archer class.
Yeah.
Right? Because it'll just tear them apart at range.
Yeah.
Because especially the ranges they have. They can go out to almost 600 feet and shoot in long range.
Yeah.
What is the bane of an archer?
A monk.
Yeah, because they can deflect arrows. Right.
Yep.
Also, they can dodge area effect spells.
But now comes the question: can they deflect unlimited mounts of arrows?
So that's a good question. And if you have 4 different archers shooting at them in the same round, yes, but there's no rule difference on it.
That's the thing. Yeah. In Hawktails, I say you can deflect arrows, but you can only deflect arrows you see incoming. And second, you can only one action, one arrow. So if there's one bowman shooting at you from the front that you can see, you can deflect that arrow. That's an ability you can learn.
Dale,
but if you have 100 or 10 of them that shoot at you from a distance, no, that's not going to work.
Dale, protection from normal missiles.
You will quickly be overwhelmed. Yeah.
Remember, first edition's protection from normal missiles. +1 arrows don't count. And every archer has magic arrows.
Yep.
So it's like they're yeah. So with the monk and the dodging ability, at 9th level they can avoid all damage from a fireball. Below that 8th and less, it's halved. So, and you see when Moran plays, he makes his petrification dodge save first, then his normal spell save. And it'll be because he's not 9th level, he's 8th. Quarter damage if he makes both. Half damage if he makes one and fails the other one, because the dodge or the save, and then full damage if he fails both. So, yeah. But there are items that are worse than that ability. Just put on gloves of missile snaring. There's no limit to those. I mean,
and that's a little bit what my problem I had earlier when I said there is a lot of absolutes in old first edition.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's one of my problems with this. There's a lot of like it just functions or it just succeeds or whatever.
All right.
So yeah.
What class in my campaign can dodge? Also dodge area effect spells to a limited extent.
Ooh.
This is a tough one.
Yeah.
Super tough. Oh yeah. It's a custom class.
Acrobat something?
No. They can avoid combat winning initiative.
But not area effect spells.
That's funny. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge an arrow. That's funny. This is hysterical. Now, 3rd edition created a Dwarven Defender, but we have what's called the Shield Thane class. It's a Dwarven class. So this is basically the Dwarven Paladin, almost the tank for dwarves. It's a really cool class. They fight weapon and shield, and it's got to be a large kite shield. They get the shield dodge. Here it is, 5th level shield dodge. Like the monk ability to dodge a shield thing, may use their shield to deflect and absorb certain attacks. If a successful stave versus petrification, they receive half damage from an attack, and then normal damage is taken. So they can do that, but they don't get the 0 damage ever. Like the monks do at 9th. So yeah. So but that's so basically they're using their shield, and we've all seen Dragon Slayer where everyone hides behind their shields and don't get any breath weapon damage, right? We've seen that.
Oh, but a tower shield, I think it makes sense. You should be able to, and that should help from a lot of stuff. So yeah, or protect you from things.
Inquisitor's another great one there, Rob. And Inquisitor special abilities are, let me bring up the Inquisitor. Like I said, Inquisitors were a kit class and showed up in Baldur's Gate 2.
Yeah, that's true, Jeff. That the in the Dragon Slayer, the shield was made out of
dragon scale.
Yeah.
But you've all seen other movies where just getting behind a shield.
Oh, I mean,
Captain America's shield saves him for everything, right?
Oh, but that's a magical superhero thing. So yeah.
The Inquisitor's big ability is dispelling magic at twice the actual level. So if they're a 7th level Inquisitor, they can cast a spell magic at 14th level, which really negates almost everything in the rules in old school. But they're a paladin, and they're just a subclass of paladin where they get detect lie, they get true sight instead of true seeing, and so they're one of my favorites. Custom eyes I made up, and they're in that's the Undead Hunter. I think the Inquisitor is in a. Did I put the Inquisitor in one, or is that the Undead Hunter I put in? I can't remember if I put the Inquisitor class in an art journal. I think it was the Undead Hunter. Yeah.
I think so too. Yeah.
So it's a paladin subclass, but it's a paladin subclass with a lawful neutral and lawful evil aspect. So give the bad guys a little some power here. And they're immune to charm, but that's a lot of the special abilities that they get. But the number one thing of their class is dispel magic ability. And it was vital if you played Baldur's Gate 2 with Keldorn, having that going up against all the baddies. So yeah, Undead Hunters. Yeah, it was my Undead Hunter I put in the Earth Journal. All right, so yep. Subclasses. Yep. Yeah. So the master list is here. Lots of custom classes. Lots of and they all have. So we try and make sure that there's some kind of special ability that every class has. It's a little different from other classes, and that way they got a unique feel to it. It's not hard to do. With base classes, like I said, we've created stuff for all sorts of them. Fighters, we've added things, all sorts. But just monk, we've tweaked. And like I said, I'm not a purist. So like if I see something in first edition I want to change, I'll change it. More hit points for monks. 1 hit point per level is a lot. So if your average, say you have a con bonus and you're rolling like mostly 3s on your dice, right? And so that's 4, say a 15 con, it's 4 times 7, 28. Add that by just 7 hit points, and it goes up to 35 or goes up to 40. It's a huge difference to survive later on. So Inquisitor is going to Altamira. Yes. Shadow Mage, Inquisitor, Shadow Mage, Bounty Hunter, Undead Hunter. Undead Hunter, Inquisitor, Shadow Mage, Bounty Hunter. Yep. Well, Shadow Mage maybe if the spells are correct. Yes. So. All right. What other questions you got, audience have, or Anna? What other comments you have as we're finishing up here?
I think this is a really good discussion to have. You should start question what you like, why you like it, so you can figure out what tools you want to use and how you want to use them, so to speak, because there's so many different ways of doing this. So you have to figure out what works for you and your game table. And that I think is really important, because there's no right or wrong. It's what works for you and you at your table. That's the key bit. But if you don't think about it, you might go around doing things in a way that there might be a better way for you to do it, so to speak. Once you try something, so you should question the way you play but only to the degree so you can figure out if you're doing it right or not, so to speak. And then over time, if you played in other games and you looked at other YouTube videos and Twitch streams or whatever, and you see that, oh, and read other rules, then you realize that, oh, there's some cool ways I can do other things that I haven't figured out. So you can learn from it. And so in order to evolve your games to become a better tools for you to have fun with, so to speak. That's the important bit here.
That is the important bit, is having fun with it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and everyone has their own, like I said, no two DMs are alike. Everyone has their own play style with certain nuances and differences. And
and it depends on, it's like how tactical do you want? Do you use miniatures? Do you use a VDT? It's a theater of the mind and stuff like that. The way you play it in that way also kind of certain rule sets are better for certain types of games than others, so to speak. And it's what do you want heavy role play, world building, or combat, or whatever, so to speak. So different rule sets emphasize different aspects of the game too. Yeah.
And you know, it's a matter of every time you DM is a play test, right?
Yeah.
Every game, everything you do with your friends or
organized play is probably the exception where they're not supposed to be a play test. That's supposed to be standardized play, so to speak.
As your own self.
Exactly. Almost every other game you run homebrew or whatever, it's basically a form of play test.
And my cons, I'm not play testing specific things, but I am play testing did I get through everything I wanted to in time? Did I have to cut out? My gosh, I have all these monsters sitting behind my screen I never used because I did too much, and the game drug on. I had that happen. I had that happen with the 2-drink minimum game a couple of years ago, and I'm like, oh my god, this is taking longer than I thought. When everyone went down into the mine, right? And the party split. I'm like, oh my god. So I had to cut back on some of the baddies, which is fine. You just got to adapt, you know. So it's all part of the learning process. And once again, you know, it depends on your addition and all the other things that you're doing and your play style and what Anna said at the very beginning on what's the term again, Anna? I'm sorry, I don't remember.
Oh, game loops.
Game loops, yeah.
But game loops is one of these things that is one aspect of looking at the game. When you don't look at the modifiers and stuff, you look at the flow of the gameplay, meaning how do you game a combat round flow, so to speak. How do you handle initiative, and how do you work with rewards and stuff like that? Game loops, meaning how's your economy going? Are your characters just get richer and richer and richer, and you don't get money out of them, or whatever? Meaning how you reward and boons and stuff is one thing, so to speak. That like the points that Jay uses his games that you can reward and you get like these things, the structure of stuff like that's kind of game loops. And when you have what meta currencies, meaning do you want to use a spell point system instead of spell slots, and what would be the advantages and disadvantages one versus the other, so to speak. Those are game loops where you have when as a player, what should you force the players to take note of, so to speak. One of the things that was said, like turning undead something you can just keep doing forever, or do you have like you can do it 3 times a day, or you have a meta currency that you can only do 10 things a day, regardless of your character might be able to do 25 things, but you can only do 10, so you have to pick the 10 like spell slots or something. There's many different ways of doing this, and game loops will be like figuring out what kind of constraints and mechanics to get these things to run your economy, run your combat round, run your level ups and your downtime, your research, for instance, and stuff like that to figure that. That's what I'm thinking about game loops. Yeah.
All right. Any final questions here?
Yeah.
Just note, this is one of those topics where you barely scratch the surface.
Oh yeah, but I think that's part of the good thing with this discussion like this. It should make every DM and player start asking questions to themselves, like, what do I like about the game? What should I tweak? Because that might, meaning it's like being a carpenter and looking for the right tool. If you don't go to Home Depot and look at the tools there are, or study others doing it, you might not be able to there might be a better tool than the one you're using without being aware of it. So go around checking now and then and look at the tools on offer to see which one you might like, so to speak.
There's I look at it like this.
Yeah.
I am not one that will not make a change, but you're going to have to convince me, and it's got to make sense. And that does, and to this
but
day,
look at it this way. You basically create your own version of the rules. So
you have to.
Yeah.
I think that's what I think. And in fact, I think that's what they wanted to do in the original. It was just and
you started, meaning you started it 40 years before I did. So, or 30 years before I did. So meaning I'm getting there. I started getting there like 10 years ago, and 5 years ago I really set out in earnest to do it. And you said it. Yeah,
I have, Patrick, but I've changed the character around so that it's and I've redone it so that it has fit my game.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to give you the number one example of this.
I think I know
who.
From Bandit Kingdoms.
No, not Kate. No, well, yes,
Casey.
That's the worst case.
I thought Casey. Yeah, I thought Casey. Yeah.
Yes. That is one. Yes, that's true. But yeah, that is absolutely true.
That's the one I came to mind that I've been involved in and played with. So
oh my gosh,
yes. Yeah.
But on a better note, my good friend Todd Stashwick, Morton Didiff, was a fighter mage. And he said, look, this is his stuff. I said, all right, he had a sword and all. I was like, all right, no problem. I got it. I'll put it together for you. I bring it back and sending it back to him. He's like, oh, this is awesome. This is so charming. I love it. Perfect. Also, what's his name? The guy who has more of the things that works at the game store in Chicago. He's played my game with Ed a couple times. The guy who is at the game. He's got his whole house is a D&D place.
Bill Meinhardt.
Bill Meinhardt's a triple class mage. Fighter mage thief I allowed in.
Yep.
And I had to cut him way back.
Oh yeah.
Because he had a girdle of giant strength. And,
but he played. They play probably way more high magic than you do. That I do too.
The answer to that is, Patrick. Yeah, I've allowed characters. In fact. When Tim and Walt first started playing with me in 1980, they brought in characters. That was the Monty Hall era. Yeah. Pete Moss,
which I think we all have a Monty Hall era. I think every DM goes through and every game group goes through that period.
Right. Yeah. And that's fine. So the answer is yes. I've allowed that and brought in to this day. Characters that they want to play, just make sure. I just want to make sure it's set to my rules so it's balanced and it works. And I did that, with those examples. Casey's was the toughest because it was dual class.
Yeah.
So you did play Compost there, Curtis, once. Compost was Walt's character. Compost, son of Pete Moss and Jolie, yes. And the two sons were named Mulch and Compost, son of Pete Moss. Yeah. Isn't that great? Yeah. And that's part of the fun. So, all right, let's do the giveaways. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Do two. I have it both. I have multiple, so don't worry. One's in Knave or OSE. These are the Nazaret's adventure called Relics and Ruins. All right. So you wins these. Shout out wise. Let me do that real quick. Anna, what's going on with you, by the way, too?
I have a couple. I've overhauled my Notion site, so there's a whole bunch. I'm going to put my link to that. And there's a lot of content that will be my primary content delivery site going forward, so to speak. So there's Heraldry, there's a whole searchable database. You can search for stuff, and I try to put things new. So now there's all Heraldry, for instance, there. And
cool.
So Notion is a really good way of putting stuff in there. It's easy for me to put in. You can search things, and and things are labeled and stuff, so you can find maps, heraldry, symbols, the whole shebang. It's there. Basically, everything is there. So that's one thing. And then I had an article. Hang on a second. I need to make that one. I should. Here we go.
Yeah, isn't that magic, Jacko? Every stream, because I have 8 sponsors and Patrick helping out and you know, all the other things going on. Oh yeah, every stream I have a giveaway. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I have my latest I posted is about hawktails, and it's the physics. So it's the inspiration for D&D physics. I posted it like a week ago, so I probably talked about it a little bit Friday and Wednesday. So it's, and next one will come out. I will talk a bit about the game loops, exertion and stuff like that in Hawktails. So I have a little bit of like once a week now to because I don't want to show all the maps and stuff until the seminar for Virtual Greyhawk Con and Gamehole Con. But I'm working on a large part of the terrain, so to speak. So there will be and some more screenshots and stuff. So yeah. So I'm just trying to get as much done. I've updated a lot of monsters to the latest version of Hawktails. So I have a whole slew of them ready for the games. And soon I will start doing all the pre-gens. I have the low level, mid level. Now I'm going to do some of the high levels and a couple of the mid level pre-gens. Because they're not statted out properly, so they need to be. And so now I've tweaked. For instance, I worked on one of the things I'm looking into is turning undead, because turning undead is something that in the beginning you just scare them, and then you can start putting necrotic damage and start damaging them. But then you can be more brutal the higher up you go, so you can do really cool, powerful stuff. When you're high level cleric, you can do other forms of damage and stuff. There's one celestial damage type that is called void damage that is really cool on various undead types. So when the pesky shadows and ghouls and things that are incorporeal, so to speak, that are really hard to get because you can't really hit them with physical, that's when stuff like that can be really powerful. So that is something that if you have the right god, so to speak, that can grant you a turn undead, I tend that is really more powerful as you level up, and you can tweak it in various things. You can specialize and get really good at certain types of undead, or just scare lots of them, or be more precise and use it as a more like a surgical. You can have longer range, for instance, if you want that and stuff. So there's yeah. There's I think I have 21 types of damage now. So void damage is one of the celestial cool. There's another one. You have disruption damage, you have despair damage, vorpal damage, and some other stuff. So vorpal damage. Weapons do vorpal damage, which is a force damage. It's an ethereal type of damage, so it's concentrated ethereal. So you work with it. You tweak the structure of the world around the weapon with it, just like you have. It's like magic missile, but in a weapon, so to speak. So you can have force damage that is applied wide, and vorpal is force damage applied precisely. So you can cut through things that are way better than a physical blade. That's how I motivate it, so to speak. So vorpal weapons are nasty because when you crit through them, they cut through lots of stuff, and they basically cut through all the hit points and goes directly into do lethal damage immediately. So if you have a vorpal weapon or a sharp weapon, you can start cutting through all the hit points. It doesn't matter how many hit points the enemy has. You can cut through that immediately. And that can be really nasty. So if you meet someone with a vorpal weapon and you're that barbarian with 200 hit points, you might lose your head immediately, which I think was the part of it. And there's certain armor that protects from it. So you're not completely defenseless. So magic, like ethereal damage is so it's you can have different same type of damage in different circumstances, whether it's a spell or a weapon or something like that. So it's just a way of that way. when I run my games, I know what the effects of that damage is. So that way I learn the rules, and that way I don't have to worry about it and read specific spells. If all I know it's okay, it's that type of damage, it works like this, and so on. So it's part of the rules adjudication, so to speak. So yeah.
Bells, we're
A
finishing
blunt
up.
spoon, yes. Yeah.
Are you on Friday?
Yes.
All right, and
yeah,
we'll be
I
on
will
together
on Friday
on Wednesday.
again. So. Yeah.
And so Wednesday.
We haven't. Yeah, we have a new topic. Yep.
All right. Cults of Greyhawk on Wednesday.
Yeah. Since we took one cult last week, that means that we can continue with a bunch of others this week.
We'll
so
talk.
To speak.
Yeah,
well,
we'll talk about a lot.
You
of
can
the
call
other
I
ones.
use a cult or not, but yeah. So,
yeah, but we'll talk about all some of the other ones.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah, there's some cool ones
Thanks,
we should talk about, like Cayuse and others that do.
Cayuse
and others that we haven't.
And Farisden and
there's a bunch of them and some of them we talked a lot about, but some of the other ones like Cayuse we haven't talked much about, so they deserve some attention too. Yeah.
And then on Thursday night, Narwhal Headhunters, Trouble at the Crossroads. So for my guys on Thursday, just note that I got a whole bunch of new terrain. I only got half of it already, and it's loaded on my table. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with it. I mean, Jeremy's got some unbelievable next generation stuff coming from Gamescape 3D. You're going to see it, some of it on Thursday, and then a lot of it on Saturday. The name of the title on Saturday, I'm not going to bring it up because I don't know the cast yet, but I can't read it. Post-birth resurgence. So yes, but I don't know who's playing in it yet. So
I like a pre-birth resurgence. That sounds even more interesting.
Yeah, well, post-birth is both of the. Yeah, so just let me know, Jeremy. I'm reaching. I got you and Tony on the list there. I'm working my way down. If you guys are in, let me know. So I know Coco's in so far. Courtney's in because Elazira has just had her twins. Yay! Yes. Fritz is yes. Uncle Fritz is on babysitting duty, which is scary. So yes, good man. That's cool. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go watch that right after this. So yep, sounds good. And that'll be Saturday starting at 10. It'll be a Knights of Yola characters, higher level. Yep. 8th, 9th level for on Saturday. All right, let's do the giveaways. Here we go. Let's see who wins.
I hope we weren't too all over the place with this discussion, but on the other hand, that's the nature of Gabbin.
Of us. I gave everyone the finger earlier. I double fingered everyone on the West Marches thing. It drives me. It's almost becoming Robert Wardall like. You know, when people are like, oh, I have a West Marches game. I
liked the style originally. I thought it was the only way to play. And then I abandoned it for decades. Now I want to, and now I think it's cool that someone labeled it. Exactly.
Because you can't have the same. I can't have the same special guests every Saturday.
No, exactly. But I like it that someone put a label on that type of style of play. I kind of like that. So yeah.
All right, here we go. Winners. Jeremy Astrolyre and Kai Hawkeye. So just
awesome.
All right, Jeremy, let me know. Do you want OSE or Knave? And Kai Hawkeye, the same thing. I have plenty of multiple copies of each, so you can just tell me which one you want. It's a cool adventure by the Nazrat. You know, he's a good guy. So yep. Just let me know. Kai Hawkeye, which version? Knave's like 2nd edition type, right? So OSE or Knave, you tell me. Yeah. All right. I'll give you whichever one that Jeremy doesn't take. That way I keep the amount I have left. Kinda, yeah. You want the Knave version? Jeremy, give that Knave shot, and I'll send OSE to Kai. Kai, I think I have your address, but I should have it, but just send it to me. I know I have Jeremy's. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'll see you all Wednesday. Wednesday night. We're going to raid the Marquee tonight, gaming, part of our stream team. Oh, by the way, Bella's Deadly and Star have joined the stream team. So, we got a couple more channels in. Rory, who was doing the Sunday nights for Blue Box, is going out on his own, is going to have his own channel soon. We're going to add them in soon once he gets up and running. So, yeah, because we don't think Blue Box is ever coming back. So, lots of fun stuff going on. Thanks for a great discussion. Thank you, audience.
Oh, thank you. And thank you, everybody. Yeah.
So say hi to Rachel, Mark, and the crew there. So wrong button coming, probably. Yep. Thank you. Here we go. We get like 70 in on that. That'll be awesome. Beautiful.
73.
5, 4,
yes.
3, 2, 1. See you Wednesday. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. There you go. Yeah. 75. That was good. Yep.
Yeah. Alrighty.